Hello the people, it's Effectuality here, back with another Minecraft tutorial, and this one I think is going to be a bit of a game changer. Now, as you know, in Minecraft 1.15 we got access to the roof of the Nether because portals will now correctly link from the overworld up to here. Now that's awesome for getting around, makes it a whole lot easier to get from one base to another, but it's not terribly exciting. And with the new Minecraft 1.16 update that's on its way, there's a whole lot more going on down in the base of the Nether, and we really want to go there. However, while it's nice to be able to get down into the guts of the Nether and do all the fun stuff down there, I think this is still going to be the best way to get around. So what I've designed is a portal system that will allow you to decide before you go through it whether you want to go up to the roof here or flick a switch and head on down to the base. Okay, so the way this works is actually really simple. What we've got going on is we've got a switch on the side of our portal. Now you can stick this anywhere, but I've stuck it on the side of the portal to show you how it works in the video here. And in behind the portal I've got a dropper. This dropper is filled up with items, and when I flick my switch, it throws an item out. What happens is for 15 seconds we actually have things going on in the Nether right now. When we send something through a Nether portal, for the next 15 seconds in the other dimension, chunks are loaded and it gives us time for things to happen over there. So if an entity goes through of any type, so that's a player, a mob, or an item that we send through, that's going to spend 15 seconds doing its thing over in the other dimension, which means if we go through this now, we're down in the guts of the Nether. Head on back through again, and once I flick the switch, an item gets dispensed. We wait a couple of seconds for everything to happen over in the Nether because it's got to go through a little bit of hoppers and redstone and stuff like that. But then when we head on through, now we're in the top. Now this isn't some sort of prank or anything like that, it's not April guys, this is actually really simple. What's happening is in the Nether, we've got some hoppers down underneath here. As soon as the item comes through, it gets sucked up by the hoppers either underneath the carpets or these ones down here in the hopper minecarts, and I've stuck these here because sometimes items do get stuck on the frame of the portal and you need to be able to suck them through the block. So got these here, they feed into a dropper over here. Once this drop is activated with a little bit of redstone, it's going to send stuff through the bedrock. You don't have to break a hole in the bedrock. You can just find a one high gap or a one thick gap in the bedrock. Stick yourself a hopper minecart underneath that with some more hoppers and another dropper. Make yourself a little chute and drop on down to where you're going to have your other portal. Now once it comes on down here, what's going to happen is, see we've got an unlit portal right now. If I throw an item in here, like that, our portal gets lit by one of the dispensers that we've got in the back here due to a little redstone signal happening as the item passes through the hopper. Same thing down the bottom here. When we want to break this, what we need to do is grab ourselves something to throw through. If I throw this again, little redstone signal here, and we get a bucket of lava dispensed, and it breaks our portal. Now how this works is actually really easy, and it's an intended design in the game. When we go through a Nether portal, the game looks for a lit portal in the other dimension within 256 blocks in any direction. So that's up or down, north, south, east, west. It's looking for one of these lit up, ready to receive us. Now obviously if there's one of these down here but it's not lit, it's going to look for the nearest one instead. And right now there's one on the roof, it's definitely within the 256 blocks, so it's going to send us to that one. It's also going to do that for any items we send through. So that means when we throw an item through our Nether portal from the overworld, if this one isn't lit, it's going to go up there. Once it goes up there, we can do that little redstone-y hopper trick that we've done, heads on down here, and it'll light the portal for us. Then, not only do we go through this when we want to, but the next item that we throw will also go through this portal here, because this is the closest portal to where we are in the overworld, because it's a little bit lower down, it's not as high as the portal that we've got up there, so it's a lesser distance to travel to get to this portal here. Once that happens, we've got our little hoppers and everything like that, and that dispenses the bucket that will then break this portal, so we end up back in the roof. So it's really, really simple. There is a little bit of trickery when it comes to making sure that you put your portals in the right places and they're all linked up properly. That can be the hard part. If you're stuck on that, there's plenty of tutorials on YouTube already on how to correctly link nether portals. I will leave you to have a look through those, but we'll launch into a little bit of a near enough to a block by block how you want to build this thing. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do when you're in the overworld is obviously make your portal. You can make your portal any size, you can do whatever you like with it, as long as you've got a switch nearby that's going to produce a signal when you flick it down and when you flick it up. So the way we do that is really nice and easy. We put a torch and a repeater on the block that's going to be powered by the lever, and then we run a redstone cable out from underneath the torch here. This goes into a repeater and into our dispenser over here, and then our repeater over here is going to be set for a 1 tick delay, and that gives it time for everything to switch off and then power that dispenser again. So nice and easy, there's not too much to show there. Just have a quick pause of your video if you need to follow it a little bit closer. And we'll head on into the nether. So in the nether, there's a couple of things that you're going to want to know. First thing is, portal orientation is a pain. What I've done here is just put hoppers on both sides, hidden underneath carpets. You could use half slabs or something like that as well if you choose. I've just hidden them under the carpets for the tutorial, but they run into a chain of hoppers that runs into our dropper over here. And then, as I said earlier, I've also put a couple of hopper minecarts. They do have to be on the rails underneath the frame of my portal where things can possibly get stuck, because sometimes they don't quite clear the horizon of these obsidian blocks. So these will pull through from the block up there, send it down into the same hopper chain, where our dropper will dispense this item into this little cage. And I've made this little cage so that we can definitely get the item down into the hopper minecart below. And all I've done, this is the old standard automatic dropper, hopper, dispenser type thingy that we've got going on here. Just a comparator on subtract mode, couple of blocks, couple of pieces of redstone, and another comparator to feed back in, so that as soon as anything goes into here, it gets dropped down. Now, as I said, you don't have to break a hole in the nether. You can if you want to, and it would just make things a little bit more simple, because as you can see, I've had to do the exact same thing that we've got over here, down underneath here. So you've got your hopper minecart, you've got some hoppers, and then I've done another one of these once we're actually down past the bedrock, so it's nice and easy to clear out the space, do the redstone that's required, and then flick an item down. Once you've done that, you can see that I have put the chute in. You do need to make sure that your items aren't going to fall off to the side. So a chute is really handy. Droppers and dispensers are really, really unreliable for the angle that they throw things, so this is really handy. You get your hoppers down here. We've got a nice little piece of redstone here that basically just has a comparator feeding out of the hopper. That is going to go and create a redstone signal into this block, which will depower this redstone torch, which will allow the item to pass through. Okay, so it stops here for a second, long enough for it to be registered. It creates a redstone pulse, then it passes through and it'll go into your chest or whatever else you want to have for retrieving those items. And at the same time, we've got a repeater out of the side here, and that is going to power one of our dispensers, which has got the flint and steel in it. Same thing as we've got at the top here, we've got underneath. So we've got ourselves some minecart hoppers, we've got some hoppers feeding into a chest, and we've got the exact same little thingy doodler here that's stopping the items, reading a signal, producing one. And then what we've done over here is we've just put a couple of repeaters in to get 2 pulses out of this 1 pulse. Okay, so the trick here is you need to have a total of 4 ticks difference between them. So 1 repeater over here set to 1 tick, 1 repeater set to 1 tick, and then 1 set to 3 ticks. That will create 2 different pulses that will come up this redstone wire and go into this dispenser here to dispense our bucket and then grab it again. Now, here's the thing with this setup, is that you don't just have to choose between two different portals. If you want to get really, really fancy, you can do something like this little system here, where you've got buttons set for different destinations in the alternate dimension. As long as they're within 256 blocks of each other, you can set this up so that a different item is dispensed when you press each of these buttons here. The way I've done that is simply by running into 4 different droppers, which then feed into our main dropper, which will send an item through the event horizon. And then on the other side, what you want to do is set yourself up an item sorter, run the different wires everywhere that you need to go. I haven't done it because it is a big task, but just to show you an idea of what you can actually do with this system, you could have a whole bunch of different buttons in the overworld. Press one, you've gone to your gold farm. Come back through, press another one, you've gone straight to where your blazes are spawning. We can have a weather spawning pad. We can do all the different things just by pressing a button in the overworld and going exactly where we want. And of course you can do the same from the other dimension. So if you have 3 or 4 different places in your base that you'd like to visit, as long as they're within 256 blocks and you can work out which one you need to have on and which ones you need to have off to make that work, you can do that. The world is your oyster. Now, I know this has been a little bit of a whirlwind tour of how these things work. I haven't done a block by block tutorial, mainly because everybody likes to do their portals in different ways and everything's going to have to fit in a different way for the portal that you make. But if you are struggling, if you're finding it really, really hard, first thing I would suggest is definitely make sure that you're schooled up on how to link portals up, because it's going to make a big difference. Make sure that the portal that you're going to send things through is going to be the one that's closest. And then the other thing is, leave a comment, ask me a question. I'm definitely going to answer. I love to make sure that these things work for you, so hit me up if you need to. Other than that, leave a like on the video if you liked it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks very much.